All right. Grand rising, greetings, and good day to you all. You are tuned in to the Peak Wellness Hour. Oh my gosh, you all, I want you all right now to the like button. Right now, hit the like button because I have been waiting all week, actually longer than a week, for this special guest that we have here. It is my queen aunt, Gloria Carter, but she is so much more. We've got another pastor in the house, another family and marriage uh, life counselor, or excuse me, counselor, and a grief and loss counselor, all bundled in one. So I've got two amazing women here with me. We cannot wait to share this conversation with you all. So grab a pen and paper. We're going to have a great conversation. You don't want to miss this. So make sure you share with someone, invite them to join us. And if you haven't subscribed already, please do so. And we'll be right back. All right, here we are. Here we are. So excited. Again, you are tuned into the Peak Wellness Hour. You all, tomorrow's my birthday. So here's what we're going to do. Again, you're going to hit the like button. You're going to share with someone, bring them over to join us. I am going to stop talking because I want to be spoiled by the wisdom and knowledge of this queen, Gloria Carter. I love it when she drops truth and knowledge. It's so serene and soothing and bold and just altogether lovely. So we're going to have our one and only Queen Edith bring us in, and we're going to dive into the conversation. Queen.
Hello, friends and family. Yes, indeed, it's a great weekend. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
It's a great weekend. Today, 29 years ago today, I became a mother. I became a mother 29 years ago today. So it's absolutely a great day. And
Yes.
most people who have been in my life who have been consistent were born in December. My mother was born in December. Queen G was born in December, just a day after Jake. So happy birthday to our amazing, amazing, amazing family and friends and all the people who celebrate their birthday in December. We love you and we appreciate you. I know so many I can't even begin to count. But we do have an amazing woman of God here, a counselor, marriage and family counselor, a grief counselor. So Queen and I are going to learn from her. There's nobody on this earth who has not been touched by grief. And for some, they become crippled for years. Life stops because mom left, because grandma left, because my wife or my husband left, because I lost a child. And I can't begin to imagine. I have been hit by losing my mom, my dad, and my daughter. Okay? And sometimes it's not the people who only die physically, but also it's the things we lose, a divorce. You grieve the marriage, right? Sometimes it's a profession, a career. You lost your job.
Yes.
So grief is huge. It's not just the death of people. but the death of things we used to love, the death of things we had no choice, your health. Someone
Mhm.
gets sick, they can walk, they can eat the foods they love. You grieve all those things.
Yes, you
So it's only right that we bring someone who is specialized in grief counseling. How do you handle this? How do you move on with life and live with grief at the same time?
do. Mhm.
So this morning, this afternoon, wherever you are in this part of the world, invite a friend. Someone has been touched by grief. They are right now grieving. Their life is as a standstill. But no,
Mhm.
this conversation is going to help them, revitalize them, and tell them even if they're dealing with grief, they can still live.
Mhm.
Invite a friend, invite a family. Let's dig in. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So, like I said, we're going to have Queen Gloria Carter speak on this. I want to give you all definition really quickly, though. So, with loss, okay, is the fact or process of losing something or someone. And I'm so certain that Gloria is going to touch on the process of it all. And it's certainly different for all of us. Now, with the definition of grief, is deep sorrow, especially caused by someone's death. Okay, so deep sorrow, and then sorrow, diving into that, is a feeling of deep distress. Listen to these words, okay?
Yes.
Mm,
Deep distress caused by loss, disappointment, or other misfortune suffered, suffering here by oneself or others. So I want you all to get that understanding because, like we talked about before we got on, we will go through a loss. Okay, we all lose something. The longer you live, you're going to lose somebody or something. Grief does not have to automatically be tied to that loss. And if it is, it doesn't have to be a permanent thing. And that's where we're going to talk about healing and living beyond grief and loss. So without further ado, Queen Gloria Carter.
Queen Gloria, I don't mean to cut you before you go in. We need to say this. We are not giving medical advice. We are
Exactly.
not giving any kind of advice. We are having a conversation based on what we know.
What we
You're
know.
going through grief, you're going through anything, please call your mental health specialist and make
Yeah.
an appointment. If you don't have one, check with your PCP, primary care physician. They could probably refer you to someone. But most definitely, we are not giving you medical advice on
Thank
what
you.
to do.
We're just having
We are sharing
conversation.
information and having a
Mhm.
conversation. Thank you, Queen. Please move
Mhm.
forward.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you for that.
Thank you. Good morning, Queens, and good morning to our airwaves. We are grateful to be able to have this type of conversation. There used to be a time you just suffered in silence. And now we have platforms that we can come, and the Word of God says to come and reason together. So we have solutions to things. And so both of you were just correct in everything. I was just crossing off my notes. So like, oh, I don't have to say that. I don't have to repeat that. So I say ditto, ditto, ditto to everything that was already said. And so with that, Angelina is my second born niece. So she's no third born niece. She's the third. So a 3/4 chord is not easily broken. So
That's right.
she's headstrong. And then I was telling Edith this morning. She's my grandmother's name was Edith, and she looks just like her, and it just it brings a peace. Sometimes you have to just be in a conversation with somebody brings about a peace because we
Mhm.
should always choose to connect and we should always choose to communicate.
Mm, mm,
Sometimes, like for me, I am an introvert. People do not believe it, but I really am. But I have learned to communicate. Now, to be an introvert just means you just go inward. You don't have to express everything, but your life is an expression as well. So it's called now ambivert. I toggle. That means I can come into different rooms, but still I have to go and refuel. So I did not learn how to communicate my grief. I would internalize my grief.
Mm.
And I felt like I was doing really well, getting past it, whatever it was, a loss. But then I started to realize, even though I've learned my mechanisms of overcoming, everybody else has not. And so instead of me saying, well, why don't you just deal with it and get past it? Why don't we say, let's go through it together? And so the word of God says this: we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimonies. So today I'm just here to testify that you can't overcome. You can go through it and come out of it. Some things we do lose, like I was upset because I celebrate myself because I lost 137 pounds. But then I went through a deep depression because I was like, man, I had the banging clothes, you know what I mean? And the shoes, and I had to get rid of all this. But it was just time to declutter and be a new person. But it was just hard because you would think I would be so excited. Well, I was excited, but then I was like, wait a minute, I have to redefine myself. And that's what happens when we lose something or we go through grief. You have to redefine the moment. So let's see, as you in your grief, rather finding. Yes. We need to find healthy coping mechanisms. You do. Because a lot of people, your triggers, you need to know your triggers. Because a lot of times you can remember the day, but you can remember a trauma, the smell, the person who offended you, all those things, the seasons. Sometimes people can't even handle weather season. We're in the first day of winter and we're already over it,
Yeah.
and change and you can't adapt. When you spring forward. You can run out, you can smell the flowers, everything is coming alive. But when it comes to fall things fall down to the ground. But winter, it's cold. It seems dead. And it's hard to deal with. It's cold outside. You're stuck inside. You have to adapt your clothing. You got to put on layers, and all those different things brings about a grief. And if you ever notice, a lot of times each season, there's an amount of loss, especially in the winter season. It defines the season. So it's not a it shouldn't be overwhelming to say, oh, why are we losing in this season? That's the actual season that we're in. So with that being said, we talked about what grief is. It's a suffering or distress, affliction or loss, a sharp sorrow. Just suddenly something happens. You can lose a child. You can lose your job, like you said. You can lose friendships. Everything is not in every season. In Ecclesiastes 3, it talks about there's a time and a season for everything and a purpose under heaven, is it not? So there is a time to gain and there's a time to lose. We like the positive side of the time under heaven, but we don't like what we seem to be the negative sides of the time and the season. Because there's times that you have to pluck something up. But I learned the scenario the other day that someone brought up, that when you see a weed, you don't necessarily have to choke out the weed. You got to find the purpose of the weed. Why did that weed come up in that flower bed in the first place? Where was the hole there that made that come up? Do I yank it up, or do I need to understand its purpose? So we need to understand our grief and our lost purposes. What is the purpose of this? And how do we get the lesson? And how do we come out? And how do we cope? I had someone more than once tell me, because we're strong women, we were taught to be strong, that it's okay to cry. Now, I'm okay with crying. I can cry really quick. But The grief of a cry is something else. That means you're letting it go. And the word of God says this, God bottles up every tear. But if you don't give him a tear, what can he do with it? What can he do with it if you don't give it? If you don't give it over, you have nothing to use.
Mhm.
So I had to learn to cry, that ugly cry, that one like, oh, you know, and get the box of Kleenex and sit down and say, let's deal with it. Yes, yes. Thank you for putting the scripture up, Queen Edith. Yes. And so we have to learn our times and our seasons. Okay. And can seasons interlock? Absolutely. You could be dancing on one end and crying on the other. You can be being plucked up and being birthed at the same time. That's how
Mhm.
complex we are. But we have a complex God who made us in his image. So why not understand your imagery?
I like that. I like that. You spoke about weeds, and shout out to Queen Kathy B, who is in the house, and everyone else that's here.
Yes,
But
Lord.
with the weeds, so a lot of times, and I've learned this, especially talking with her, where they look like weeds because they don't look like these beautiful plants, this vegetation, something that we planted, the seeds that we planted. But there are weeds that are beneficial for your body and for your nourishment. I say this to say that sometimes when you're grieving, like she said, that ugly cry, it doesn't always look beautiful. Sometimes when you're in a place, when this weed is in this place, they're not to mesh sometimes, but it doesn't make it any less valuable, right? You just have to find your place. So when you're interlocked in your season of grief, you need to link up with something that's going to help you survive and thrive,
Right.
not something that's going to choke. And the very thing that you don't see being your help may be your help. That's that mental health. We look beautiful on the outside, but when the help comes, when the truth comes, when that healing comes, when that revival comes, you got
You
to
get
be able to
refreshed
say,
by the water and in the washing of the word. Comes to refresh you, come to revive you, come to restore you.
absolutely,
Yes. And so,
absolutely.
I tell you one thing, I always make a funny about this. I know I kind of laugh through grief, and it's not like a cynical laugh. It's just like it's an aha moment sometimes. I used to say for years, I'm not going to be a participant of menopause. I'm just not participating. I'm not going through the emotions, it's just overrated, no, 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 no. Until I became a participant. And I realized that no matter what I say, my body said, oh, you're at an age where you're going to go through that storm. And also men have what we call male pause. They are pause in a moment too. And it's funny because I've been married for almost 35 years. I've
Wow.
been dating my husband since 86. So there is over 3 decades of turning corners. And to both have the same type of things going on at the same time, it's like you got to be kidding me. There's no empathy there because the other one is going through. So now what do? We have to learn to cope together, have a conversation. It forces you to have to say, uh, I'm in a situation, I need help. I remember um, my husband when he lost his mother. We brought her here. Um, she lived in Ohio, and we brought her home because she needed to go on hospice. And she kind of surprised that she didn't let us know that all this was going on. And I remember having to take care of her, and I was like, now this is the same woman that would come in my house, rearrange my house without permission, and run the show. And you mean, God, you got to, you funny. I got to bring her here and take care of her. No, you got the wrong person. I did not sign up for that job.
Mm-hmm.
But I married my husband. I did sign up for that job. A
You
lot of people
did.
say, well, you're supposed to leave and cleave and everything, but we are family.
Mm-hmm.
And so bringing her home, you know, it was not it was a rush. And I was telling my husband, let me prepare. And every time he just wanted to rush things, I was saying, give me time to prepare. Do you
Mm-hmm.
know you have to sometimes prepare for grief?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
so I had to get space ready for grief. I had to get space ready for the loss. I had to get space ready to receive something that I didn't particularly care for,
Mm-hmm.
but I had to take care of it. So I began to take care of my mother in law. My voice was the only voice of reasoning. She wouldn't listen to anybody, not even her son. But when she
Mm-hmm.
heard my voice, it
Mm.
changed her.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember one time I was in my kitchen and I was um, washing dishes, just cleaning up. And she got enough energy out of her to say, "Could you stop making noise?" I looked at her. I'm like, "Are you kidding me? This is my house." But yes, to keep your peace, I will stop the noise. But she was able to leave this earth peacefully.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the day that she decides, or the Lord decides to come and get her, was on my birthday. I'm like, really, God, you got jokes. You got jokes.
Mm-hmm.
Husband came down to take care of her, and she was on her last breath. And he's calling my name, Glow, come here now. And when I come in, I'm like, no, not today. Really, really, today. Then I started laughing. I said, okay, you know what? You can have it. You didn't took my house. You didn't take everything else. I'm going to give you my birthday. Happy birthday. I began to sing to her. To God be the glory for the things he has done. And she took her last breath, hearing my voice. And it was settled. It was settled because I prepared myself and
Mm-hmm.
took on the grief. Now, did I have to take on her grieving process? No, but I had to walk through it with her.
Mm-hmm. Can I point out something to you all? And thank you so much for sharing that story. Thank you so much for being open. I want to share something with you all. I don't even know if you know this, Queena, but when you said you weren't ready for it, you had to prepare for that, and just how she was. I want you all to know, and God bless my queen grandmother. Her mother, my grandmother, was just like that. She just wasn't in her house. I know when I invited her over, I'm like, okay, you need to tell me a day ahead of time. I'm gonna get these baseboards. I'm gonna look at the corners.
Baseboard, say it, baseboard.
Like you're
She
looking at
comes
the
in,
banister.
a finger, she will line up and say, I see dirt. I
Mm-hmm.
smell dirt. I hear the
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
really?
and here's the thing though, she got to the point where she wouldn't say anything. It's just that look, like, we'll just go to your house. And then when you get there, you don't want to touch anything or do anything. It's hilarious. So, but did you realize though that all those years it was the same thing? You've been through the process. It just wasn't your mother, but it was preparation the whole time. And then with Granny, you were there. Shout out to my queen
Scenario.
grandmother Ruth C. Seaver. You were there. Can't imagine what that would look like, and I'll leave that there. But you went through the process. I know with my grandmother when she was in rehab, I wasn't playing. She was coming home. She was coming to my house. I love my king. I love my husband. I was not going to tell him no, but he was not going to tell me no. If I got to switch a shift, and here comes the sound of reasoning. No, you can't do that, baby. No, Angela, you can't do that. It was not an option. And it didn't happen like that though. But I say that to say there were a lot of years that I had to prep for that grief, preparation to where I'd say, if something were to ever happen, she's coming here. That's a lot of weight as far as, and I won't say grief, but impending loss is what I'll say.
Yes.
We don't want to have a conversation. Well, what do you want when I die? When you die, shut it down. Shut it down. I don't want anything from you. I don't want nothing. You're not going nowhere. And it was not a conversation that I wanted to have. I was postponing it because never ever. And you know what
Listen,
happened? She wanted
my
to talk
mother
to
And
me.
was dying.
this is what I
Yeah.
want to say, listening to both of you, that
Yes.
one of the ways we grieve a person or a thing, number one is to remember the good memories.
Mm-hmm.
That's one. But before we go on, I want to demyth or talk about some of the myths we have about grief. The first one says time heals all wounds. Okay, but that's not true. It's time plus processing plus support. Number one. Okay, and having said that, I'm going to say this. We all don't grieve the same.
Exactly.
We all
That is so
don't
true.
grieve the same. So don't tie Auntie Gloria's grief with your grief. We all grieve differently. While sometimes I may have to cry and sob it out. I remember when my mother died. Of course, she died in Ghana. It was in the thick of COVID. I didn't get to go. Okay. Immediately I heard the news, my knees will bear me witness. I yelled, I lay on the floor and I started rolling. Okay. And then it ended. And I really did not grieve because now the motion, how do we get her buried? Give her a befitting burial. So all the pain went away. My focus was giving my mom a befitting burial together with my siblings. Okay. We buried my mother. I was in America. My mother was being buried. You can't imagine what I was dealing with. Okay. A year after she died, one day I came home from work. I sat in the car in the garage, and I don't know what came over me. I cried my heart out. A year after,
Yes.
that's when it settled. It set in me. When my daughter died, I refused to pray. Don't talk to me about God. Can
It
you
was
believe
anger.
that?
Mm.
Don't talk to me about God. Where was God when my daughter died? Why couldn't he save my daughter? We all grieve differently.
We do.
And there are different stages of grief.
7
Okay.
stages. 7.
And I will let you tackle that. But I also want
Mhm.
to do this. Demystifying grief or you should be over this by now.
Mm-mm.
Who gives you a timeline when to grieve your loved one or your love situation? You may have lost your job, the very source of your life, so to speak, the thing that keeps a roof over your head. You just lost it. No, you just lost your health, your ability to eat ice cream. The one thing they'll tell me not to eat is ice cream. That will probably, oh my God. But yeah, you get, you work so hard to enjoy, you retire. I'm going to travel here. I'm going to travel. You have all the money saved up. Now you can't. You grieve in that. Who tells you how long you have to grieve and how your process should be? Who tells you that? No. No, we don't do that. Grief does not also mean weakness. At
Right.
some point, Jesus, who was going to raise the person from the dead, still wept. He
Yes.
had the power to raise the man. He knew it was going to happen, but he cried. So
Mm.
don't tell me not to cry. And
Right.
I'll say this in the area of mental health too. Sometimes we need to cry. Don't say, oh, don't cry. And it happens among Christians a lot. Oh, you don't need to cry. You need to pray. You need to confess. You need to read the word. I need to cry. If I have to cry, I will cry. It may not solve the problem, but it will give me a release. It will lift the pain and the pressure on my chest, and it will help me get clarity.
You can breathe
Okay.
again. Mhm.
Yes. So
You can breathe
all
again.
of these grieving processes, nobody tells you how to grieve. Nobody tells you how long you should grieve. Nobody tells you that time heals wound. Time will not heal wound. I have the wound of my daughter, my mother, my father, which will never heal. But guess what? I can live through it. It's
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
such that it doesn't impede me in any form or
Mhm.
shape. I remember them. Sometimes there are things because I call my mom and say, "Mom, I want to do this thing, but I don't remember how they make it." Okay, and my mother will walk me through it. Sometimes those situations, I miss picking up a phone and calling my mom. It's a lot of things. Okay, I miss going to Ghana, and it's a lot of things, but I've learned to live because I know they want me to live. So I need to make these statements that as Queen G and Gloria are sharing, they are sharing their good memories.
Yeah.
They are laughing. There's this nostalgia, but it's a form of grieving process. Your ability to talk through it. But I'll end here and let Queen Aunt Gloria, just
I
Oh
know
continue
no,
to
I'm
process.
enjoying it. No,
I
no,
know,
no.
right? I love it.
Oh no, no, no. We all bring a certain spice to the pot of stew that we're making of life.
Oh
And this
yeah.
is,
Absolutely.
yes, and this is a journey. And we're still waiting for your black pepper. So we can go.
You will have to come to my house.
Yes,
I am saying that you will have to come to this house to eat
yes,
the jollof
ma'am.
and the black
I'm
pepper
curious
and
because
the
I want to
fried
see how I'm gonna add
plantain.
that
It's
spice to my life. But we have to remember it's
that's
a
right.
journey. It's a
Yes.
lifetime journey.
Mhm.
Some losses you can just say, okay, I lost that hair today, that piece of hair. Well, moving
Oh,
on,
the
you know,
hair. The
get
hair.
a
Talk
wig,
about the
But then,
hair.
but then there's some things when that well dries up, that part, when you feel
Mm.
like there's a space and there is a hole there, that part. And that part is where you have to fill it because there is an empty space at the table that will never be filled by that person again.
Queen. Mm.
Never, never. Nobody can replace that.
Mm-mm.
And so, through that and through your tears, through your understanding, you journey. You
Mhm.
journey. I am not a writer because I'm not really, okay, my handicap is spelling, but I can express it through my voice, through my energy, but I'm learning to write. And that journey is a whole nother journey. It's one thing to have it in your heart and your mind, but to say it,
Ooh.
Mhm.
that journey, to say, today, I don't want to get out of bed. Today, I don't want to talk about it. If one more person say something about my mama, I'm going to just lose it.
Mhm.
Those days, those journeys, it's where we're at now that we don't want to touch. We
Mhm.
kind of smooth fast, pass it real fast. But Queen Edith, just like what you were saying earlier, you was in the prepare mode. So you was preparing the death. You had to execute the burial and all those things. There was no time to grieve. So sometimes some people grieve immediately. Some people grieve in year spans. It took me almost 3 years before I really started grieving the loss of my own mother.
Mm.
And it was like, if I tell you the story is horrendous. It's a horrendous story. And I'm look back and I said, how did we get through this it was a month. How in the world did I get through this? And then that next year the Lord said, now I need you to grieve. I said, you need me to what?
Mhm.
He said, I need you to pause. Grieving a lot of times is just a pause. I need you to stop, pause, and reflect on everything that happened during that grieving process. And I need you to deal with every emotion.
Mm.
I need you to deal with the anger. I need
Mm.
you to deal with the sadness. I
Mm-hmm.
need you to deal with the silliness. I need you to deal with the overwhelming. I need you to deal with every one of them, not just for yourself. Because we do. It's the word of God says, physician, heal thyself.
Mm.
He
I
didn't,
love it.
you don't always have to run. We need counselors. We need them. But we first need a conversation sometime with ourselves.
Mhm. Mhm.
And we need to look to heaven first. Then come and reason with one another. Then get your counselor. But you got to get to yourself first. Be authentic to yourself. I had to sit there and tell myself, you know what? I was not happy about what you did. I was not happy about how this went down. I was not happy, but nevertheless, it's not my will. It's your will be done in me. But now, Lord, help me to deal with my own will because I am angry. I don't want to talk about God today. Okay? I don't want to talk about a husband today. Don't put your arm around me. Don't say, if I hear one more person say, it's okay, let me process. A lot of times we don't want to let one another process. But
That's a problem.
that's the problem. And
That's
we
a
don't
big,
allow.
and Queen Gloria, I don't mean to cut you whilst you're
Oh,
talking
no, you're
about that.
fine.
You know, we are uncomfortable sitting with people in pain. We can't just be there.
Be present.
And for them to know that I am here.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Where
how
I
my
come
mother was.
from, when you lose somebody, family members come. They bring food, they sit with you, they don't even talk about what they
Don't say
joke, they
nothing.
laugh. But we come in and say, it is well. Please be quiet. Because sometimes we don't know how to support people. And one of the ways we can support people is just be present and
I
be
had somebody say that
quiet
to
and
me.
allow them to go
Yes.
through the process. So that's a powerful point. I am so sorry. I'll let you go.
Oh no, you're fine. Because that is truth. That is truth. And I tell you, um, just somebody being present
Mm-hmm.
and just sitting there, you know, just collect the Kleenex as I throw them on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously. And I became the person that I'll go to the funeral home with you. I'll just sit there. My presence breaks the atmosphere.
Yes, it does.
You know, when somebody it has surgery, you know, do you know you grieve when you have surgery?
Mm-hmm.
Because especially as women, when we have children, childbirth, it's a celebration, but you still grieve. Your body, something was attached to you, and
And
it was
guess what? You
drawing
lose your
life off
stomach.
of you,
Mm-hmm.
and now it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
That's a grieving process. Postpartum is real, you know, and people, oh, just get over it. No, you can't get over something that was attached to you. How do you just get over it? You got to go through it. Let me process that. And that's why we have people, they can't handle their children right away because we don't allow them to process. We don't allow them, if they're sitting there and crying and holding that baby, let them hold that baby because it's the same thing that was in them. And now they're looking at life while they're dying on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
You have expanded yourself close to death to deliver. That's a process. And it's
Whew.
heavy, but it's also light. You know, Jesus died on the cross. He did that process for us. And there's the greatest example. Whenever you feel that way, I remember telling the Lord one time, I was having my cycle. It was bad. It was beginning of menopause. We just having real talk, ladies. And I said, Lord, you don't understand. You ain't no woman. You ain't going through all this. I'm over here cramping. It's just getting on my nerves. When I see Eve, I'm a slapper. You know, all these things I think about. You know, and the Lord, a quiet voice in my spirit said, yes, but I was whipped 39 times. And I had the flesh ripped out of me so I could feel how you feel. And I said, okay, you trump me. You trump me. Okay, you got me. It's the king's move. But however, I'm still hurting. I got to process.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting that the Lord told you to feel every emotion. And being someone who has worked in addictions for a minute, I like to say this: numbing though it's part of the process, it is dangerous. What are we using to numb the pain? That's why it's so necessary that we have an outlet. Okay,
Yes.
whether you are home alone, you're screaming and yelling. When I remember when my daughter died, my mother was with me. My sister was, like, the family was around. They didn't even let me stay in my house alone. I went to my sister's house because at the time she had just also had her daughter, my niece, who just came to spend Thanksgiving with me, and she had her daughter, and I didn't have mine, and I
Oh,
would be late their room on the floor. And suddenly they will hear me yell.
yeah.
And my mother, poor old poor woman, she ran to the room. What is wrong? When I saw my niece, they were supposed to be sisters, close cousins.
Right.
They were born, so Carrie was born in October, and my daughter was born November, December, January, 4 months apart. My nephew and my son, September, October, and 4 months apart. So it was like a pattern. Why did she have to die? So I'll lay in the room and yell. So sometimes you let it out. At the time, I didn't know that there was anything called a counselor. Okay, let it out. Let
Just
it
like
out.
just like the
Don't numb
movie.
it.
In the movie where it says "Let it go, let it go, let it
Yes,
go,"
yes,
and
yes.
you gotta let it go.
Yeah, don't go drinking it down, because drinking it down or high in it, getting high. So I'm using high in whatever it is, high in it up or whatever, never ever solves the problem.
And most of the times we're working with people. The first thing I like to do is let's go get that child. Okay, when did the trauma happen? Let's go. And first of all, before we deal with anything else, we're gonna deal with that trauma. We're gonna forgive. We're gonna let go. We're gonna forgive ourselves for even letting that door open, and we're gonna forgive those who invaded that space. Let's deal with that first before we deal with the grief, emotions, or why I'm drinking, or why I'm taking this in. Let's go deal with the inner child where you got hurt, and the age. Let's go get them. Then
Queen
it's a
Gloria
tragedy.
is so important.
It is.
It's
It
so
is.
important.
We make milestones on other things. Why not make milestones and say, this is the day this happened, and now I celebrate the recovery. We don't want to celebrate recovery. We don't want to let nobody know that we've been through something. We want to we wallow in the grief. It gives us, sometimes grief gives us an excuse, but that's not what it's for. That's not what it's for. I tell you, we'll come. I'm sure we're going to come back together again. But a quick story about our family grief. So it goes like this. My mother and my brother died within 4 days of each other.
Ooh.
Their birthdays were the following week, which was 4 days of each other.
Then my mom's birthday's in there too.
And wait a minute, let's back it up. My brother died on my mother, on my sister's birthday, and then we had their memorials both on one day. Now, my brother was detailing a car. He sat down to rest and dropped dead. My mother, she had COVID. She was past it, but she was so weak. They wanted to try this new thing that they had out there, and we took her we live in Indianapolis, right? So we took her to Anderson, Indiana, which is about 30 miles away for those who are not in Indiana.
Yeah.
Okay. She had a reaction. There was no beds at the hospital. She was in the ER. And I said, y'all got to keep her. I can't take her home like this. Nope. And in the middle of all this, my brother dies. And then there's a rip in the family because nobody wants to handle this other part. We had to wait because we needed to go to, my mother's due to go to rehab. They decided, okay, we're going to keep her and we're going to send her to rehab that Monday. Well, we hadn't even told her that her son had passed. We hadn't told Angelina, her sister, or her mom, because we knew we couldn't tell my mother till we told them. And we knew the emotional effect of knowing this, because not to be funny, those are our emotional babies, Angelina, Crystal, and Rhonda. And their emotions are genuine because they have that genuine type of love. Okay. So quickly, we had to go in and tell her this woman was not breathing well. She was having all these problems. We had to go in and say, okay, we're bringing a laptop in to tell her that her son had passed. She let out the biggest yell you heard in a lifetime. And she was able to breathe after that. Because the very thing that she had talked about to me over the years was she never wanted to bury her child before herself. But here it is, and here we are. And she looks at me, what you gonna do? She takes a breath and she decides, I'm not going either. And she leaves. And I told her, do not leave me. I said that to her, do not leave me. And she would say to me, baby girl, that's what she called, baby girl, I'm not going anywhere. But still and yet, when my back was turned, she laid back and said, Lord, come and get me. I remember walking into the room one time because they said, I need your power of attorney papers because she's going to the rehab and all these different things. And there's a lot of funny stories I could add to this, but to get through this. So I come in. Somehow she had lost her teeth. She threw them away. So I had to come in. They said, we're going to get all these things back. And I'm sitting there looking at her. She's in the dark in the room like this with her sunglasses on because she told me bring her sunglasses. And I said, you sitting here waiting on Jesus to come get you. And she said, I didn't listen when she said to the nurses and the staff, this is my daughter, Gloria, who is going to take care of everything. She said it in past tense. She knew she told the Lord she was not going to no rehab. She didn't want to. And we were preparing our hearts to take care of her. All of us were preparing our hearts. Okay, this is it. When she comes out, we got to prepare. We're going to have to take care of her. She's like, I'm done. My mother talked to me for years about her departure. You know, the movie, if I employ anybody to watch the movie Imitation of Life. Never watched that movie, watch that movie. That was my mother. She told me every day what she wanted. I could be on vacation, I could be anywhere. She would call me. Now, when I die, this is what I need. And I say, Mother, you're not dying today. Stop dying today. Okay? I'm tired of you dying today. So I brought her a memory book because we had everything else in order. She learned off of how I dealt with my mother-in-law, how she wanted things done. Everything is preparation. Remember that. So I did that. I got her a memory book. I said, write everything you want. If you change it, you put the date on it, and I will use that. Okay? Let's stop talking about it. Let's enjoy life. I want to celebrate life. You know. And so when it was time, I knew what to do. I got the memory book out. She wrote everything in first person. She wrote it out, even her obituary, put things aside. I needed that in my life. I needed her to be prepared. So to anybody, I say today, if you're not prepared, get your insurance in order, get your stuff in order, get yourself prepared so that you can rest.
Yeah. And you know what? I'll say this really quick. I know you got to get ready to go too. She has another meeting. I'll say this though. When my grandmother had those conversations, it wasn't morbid. She wasn't sitting around like, oh, I'm going to die. She was still driving. This is what it
The
sounds like.
heavenly choir. I want the heavenly
I
choir.
can't wait to see Jesus.
Hallelujah.
Let's
that
sit
was
down.
her all
You and
the
Jesus sit
time.
down. Oh, I
I'm
can't wait
going
to
to
get to
see
Jesus. I'm
Jesus.
like,
I'm going to see him soon by and by.
yeah.
You
I'm
know,
like,
and that's
what's
how
the
she
rush?
was. Every
But
day she was
there was a peace
celebrating
about
leaving, not staying.
it.
And do you know in the Bible it says we're supposed to celebrate one leaving, then one we're supposed to
When
mourn
being born.
then one that's being birthed. And so we do it backwards a lot of times. But it was sad that it actually happened, but it wasn't sad. But she prepared me so that I could deal with the unexpected, which was my brother. So
Wow.
yes, I was good because I had that departure with her. Since I believe it or not, since I was like 7 years old, she would always tell me about her departures. Okay, so I knew what to do. I went right into the mode, and he was like, how did you navigate through that? She prepared me all my life. How did I navigate through the unexpected? Because I'm prepared. Be prepared for the unexpected.
Absolutely.
Be prepared for the unexpected. Okay, we know life is going to change. You know it's going to be winter. Get your winter coats out. Get your gloves out. Locate your socks. Get prepared. It ain't going away. You got to journey through it. All right? Springtime's coming. You got to get rid of the clutter. Because, in the wintertime, you kind of store up. You throw your clothes here and, you got your sweaters here and all this. You got to pack all that up and then you get depressed because, you're excited about springing forward. But however, you got to clean up that mess that you've been in, right? Then you break forth into summer. Oh, my goodness. You get to see you see the produce is blooming and the trees are blooming and stuff. And then all of a sudden, here you go, it's fall. You got to be pruned. There's a cutting away. You got to be prepared to be cut. You got to be prepared for the winter, the dormant time, to guess what? Process all over again. And as long as the earth remains, it is what? Seed time and harvest. All right? So remember, we always going to have these seasons. And we're going to come back together and we're going to talk more about the seasons and how to navigate through our seasons. Yes. But right now, let's just gather our cry. That's where we are right now. Let's gather our cry. Let's find ourselves. Go find that 9-year-old that was violated. Go find that girl that somebody said you were not going to amount to nothing. But here you are, Edith. You have risen above every negative talk. Here it is, Angelina. You've been thought you was the black sheep. You are not. Here it is, Gloria. You're the youngest, but yet you operate as the oldest. And you live out the word that says the last shall be first and the first shall be last. Order had to move in my chaos so that I could get in order. That's what grief and loss is sometimes. It is the move of chaos to bring order. Something has to die to live, doesn't it? A seed has to die. A sunflower has to shrivel up so that seeds can go in the ground so it can reproduce after its what? Kind. Find kindness in the grief. Find kindness in the loss. Be kindness to somebody. Be salt and light to them. Go through it, but then turn around and grab your brother and your sister. They're not going to go through it the way you do, but at least you have some helping and some coping mechanism. I'm the person when somebody has a loss, I bring the Kleenex, the toilet tissue, the cups, all the things you don't think about. I remember somebody said, I agreed for 6 months off of all the Kleenex that you brought. And I was saying, thank God for the Kleenex. Gloria. They thought about me every time they opened up a box of Kleenex. It was something they didn't have to think about, but also was something they needed because they was able to grieve. They didn't have to worry about, you know, do I have any more puffs? Or do I have to go get a bounty paper towel? You know, paper towels are scratchy. I just do things like that. You know, it sounds funny and humorous, but it's the truth. Boy, it's so nice to have a puff, you know, because I don't just get the good, I want to get the good Kleenex. You know what I'm saying? Listen, my mother stocked up on so much toiletries. We all, how long was it? Did we clock it at 7 months? I believe the
Yeah,
first
not
person that
longer.
ran out of it was 7 months. And it was
Wow.
divided among 7 and 8 people.
My.
Yeah.
She was prepared for everything.
It was the
Her
heritage.
winter months, she didn't need to go anywhere.
Or she was
Nowhere.
gonna send one of us.
She was going to send us. And then
Yeah.
she would hide the old ones so we didn't know she was out. You know. And she was the most organized hoarder I ever seen in my life. You can eat
Wow.
off of her floor. But when it was time to gut out, OMG, where did she put all this stuff? She knew how to neatly leave an inheritance. And that's another thing. People think inheritance is money. Inheritance is also your time, your resources. Be the source, be the resource, but always pointing back to God. God is the source. And sometimes in our grief and our loss, we put the person or the loss in the place of the healing. We make it a God. Don't make it a God. Put it in its rightful place. I hurt and I grieve, but put it in its rightful place. Because if you don't, you'll drive yourself to drink. You'll drive yourself to doing drugs. You'll drive yourself to depression. You'll drive yourself to oppression. You'll open up every door when you don't put the grief and the loss in its proper place. So let's get in alignment. Let's grieve together, but let's grieve well. And I will have to drop my gavel right there.
I love it much, Queen Aunt. Thank you, Queen Gloria. You are more than my aunt. Thank you so much. I'll say this. I would love to have, we would love to have you back on. But if you are in the Indianapolis area, I know Gloria does grief and loss at Overcoming Church.
Yes, and we'll be having a class. Actually, it will start April the 13th, King Brian's birthday. And it's a 6-week course. You can go to overcoming.org, overcomingchurch.org, or you could call the number at 317-931-8025. And that is Overcoming Church. We're at 2203 North Columbia Avenue here in the city, just a little east of College Avenue. And you do not have to be a member, but grief and loss, we journey together, and we would love to have you. Me and my husband, we both serve on that. We serve at our church. We serve well, and we also serve as your grief navigators. So we will, if you need help, it can be any loss. It's not just the loss of a loved one. I know we laugh. We always say loss of a pet. I always say loss of a job. You know, dynamics, the changing in your dynamics, all those things. We want to help you with tools to navigate your journey. Some is a lifetime and some is brief. I get upset when I break a fingernail because it's like I got to adjust all the fingernails accordingly. But guess what? That one's going to grow back. But and you can celebrate it again. But when you lose a loved one, they're not coming back. You can't drum them back, but you can have a memory and you can learn how to navigate through the loss of a nail to the loss of a loved one. Nothing is insignificant in your grief and your loss. God bless and keep you. May his face ever shine upon you, and may he comfort you. He comfort those who mourn in Zion, and he gives us beauty for ashes. There's beauty in your ash. God bless and keep you. Love you both. It was
Love you.
so great to
Thank
be on your
you.
platform.
Thank
I love
you.
you guys. And when I'm able to, I am on. I have to get on another call, so that's why I have to go.
Yes, ma'am.
But
Yes,
yes, I love y'all with the love of
thank
God.
you.
And seek me out. Mwah. Love
We
you.
Absolutely.
love you,
Love
Auntie
you, love
Gloria.
you, love you.
Thank you,
Thank
thank you, thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
thank
Bye
you.
bye.
Be all you can be in God's army.
There
Bye.
you go.
Amen.
Yes.
Amen.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Wasn't that good word? Wasn't that good insight and knowledge and wisdom? I've been so excited to have her on. She's such a beautiful soul. So thank you all for tuning in. I could say so much about this conversation. Thank you all for sharing our family story and our journey, even briefly. Your story matters, your journey matters. So feel free to connect with us, share with us. Like I said, Gloria Carter is a grief and loss counselor. She does marriage counseling, as does Queen Edith. So if you need those resources, connect. We are here for you. We love you all. And we want us all to win. So, Queen, if you want to take us out, this has been so lovely. This has been a great birthday weekend. Take us out, Queen.
Oh, we haven't celebrated your birthday yet. I need to celebrate. We need to celebrate. We need to do something. But friends and family, we've talked about grief. We didn't take the time to name the different the processes of grief, the different stages. She's coming back again. We're going to name each process. She went through it though. We just didn't name them. We're going to name them, identify them, and speak to each one of them. I was thinking, all the while, I was thinking about one category of people because I work with seniors.
Mhm.
Sometimes we grieve the dad we knew to the dad who has become. We grieve the mom we knew to the mom we're seeing now, and we cannot reconcile the two. That's also a kind of death that we need to grieve. So there are so many stages of life we grieve. We can name them all. But I will say this again before we go. Grieving is a process, okay? Everyone goes through it differently. The process are not necessarily chronological or a certain way, okay? It is sometimes it's just a mesh. You feel this today, you feel that tomorrow. But I say this, don't numb for too long. And numb, if you're gonna numb, then please find someone and talk to, because numbing is one of the symptoms of addiction. Okay, or
Mhm.
addiction becomes a reason for numbing. Okay, and I don't want to see any of you getting yourself into a situation whilst you're grieving one thing becomes a revolving cycle. You use the wrong tools to deal with the pain. Talk through it. Talk to someone. I wanted to ask Aunt Gloria if churches or different groups invited you. Do you do that? Do you go and speak to different groups? Because the next grieving class starts on April 13th, 2026. I wrote 2025, 2026, and it goes for 6 weeks. What if I want to invite you to my church to talk to have grief counseling? Is that something you do? So we'll come with these answers. But in the meanwhile, this is our last before Christmas, Queen. This is
Yeah.
our last before Christmas.
Yeah.
And we want to take this opportunity to thank you so much for being our strong support. Today, I've seen a lot of faces and a lot of people. To the queens and kings, have
Mhm.
a very jolly Christmas. Don't grieve the pain of I don't have money, so I can't get gifts. I can't give gifts. I can't buy myself that. Thank for life.
Mhm.
Once you have life, there is hope.
Mhm.
This year may not be your best year, but what about next year? What about next week? Things begin to show up. So, whatever it is you are dealing with, Be grateful for what you have. Let's not magnify what we don't have.
Mhm.
Let's be grateful for now, for what we have right now. The family that love us, the friends that are holding our hands together, the air that we breathe. Okay, let's enjoy the gifts of life. And I wish you, all of us here on the Peak Wellness Hour, wish you a very merry holiday season. If you're a Christian, a very Merry Christmas. And Queen G, you have been amazing. You have been a strength. You have been a pillar. I'm so thankful for the day you walked into my office. We've built a connection, a relationship. You are one of the few women who push other women. You empower us. I don't think this thing will be where it is right now without you.
Oh,
Not that I don't
thank you,
think, I
Queen.
know it will not be without you. It
Thank
will
you so much.
not. Because Edith could not sustain this.
Oh,
You and your family have been a great support, Aunt Kathy B, your entire family. So
thank
I appreciate you. I thank God for your life. I
thank
pray
you.
for wealth, which includes health, which includes finances, which include love and affection, which include great relationships, which includes every resource you need. I pray in the name of Jesus that whatever it is you are lacking in your life be supplied, that whatever keeps you up in the middle of the night,
Mm.
the Lord answer you and show you that He has not left you, He has not abandoned you, but He is with you and He has a plan and a purpose for your life. And as long as you trust Him and walk with Him, no shame will come to you. I said this again. No shame will come to you. Everything you are praying for, you will see the hand of God in your answers. I wish you a very amazing upcoming year. I can't wait to get together with you and give you some
Yes.
shit to eat. Have an amazing birthday. I love you. And to
Thank
my
you,
son,
Queen.
Mickey, I love you more than you will ever know.
Yes.
I love you. He is a very understanding, thoughtful man. And I
Mhm.
just don't know. He'll be an amazing husband to somebody because he's thoughtful, so thoughtful. And in this day and age, when people are selfish, he's thoughtful. He
Mhm.
thinks about you and he does for you. I don't know what I did to be blessed with such an amazing young man. Happy birthday to my December bonds. I love you all.
Happy birthday. Peace, love, and blessings. Thank you so much, Queen. I love you sincerely. And I love you all. We love you all. Until next time, you all stay well. Can't wait to see you again. Peace, love, and blessings.